Welcome to the 7th ZooCast UK, filled with news, views and information about UK zoos, safari parks, aquariums and other animal parks. This is Pablo the seal, who lives at Bristol Zoo. He's 8 years old and he loves a large lunch of sprats, but sometimes that leads to him needing a bit of a snooze in the afternoon.
And sometimes, as Pablo snoozes, he has a little snore too. Lindsay Bugg, curator of mammals at Bristol Zoo, said, "It looks and sounds very funny, but it's not unusual for seals to do this."
South American fur seals like Pablo are found on the coasts of Chile, Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay and the Falkland Islands.
Their numbers are increasing again now, but until recently they were hunted for their warm fur. Also, the fish stocks on which they rely for food were being depleted by commercial fishing.
The 22nd of March was International Seal Day, which was while we were away, but Pablo was so cute we wanted to include him.
And talking of cute, here's a baby sloth.
This beautiful two-toed sloth was born on the 12th of February this year at ZSL London Zoo. Sloth pregnancies last almost 12 months, so infants are already physically well developed when they're born. Incredibly, this means they're able to eat solid food right away. However, juveniles tend to stay with their mother for around 12 months before leaving their side. They're a very clingy species in general, to trees and to their mum.
Keepers won't know the youngster's sex until it is scanned by vets, as there aren't many obvious external differences between males and females. Boy or girl, the newborn is a valuable addition to its species, and once its sex is confirmed, its details will be added to the European Stud Book, part of a coordinated breeding programme for two-toed sloths. In the meantime, keepers are keeping a close eye on both Mum Marilyn and her baby, whom they've nicknamed Lento, which means slow in Spanish.
The nocturnal mammals, native to South America, may be notoriously slow, but they are impressive climbers. Holding on to its mum will enable the infant to build up the valuable muscles needed to climb easily through the treetop branches of its rainforest life home. The youngster was also born with the two-toed sloth's characteristically impressive claws, which will grow up to 4 inches in length and also help when the youngster is ready to move from tree to tree on its own.
At Drusillas Park, another young sloth, called Flash, was celebrating her 2nd birthday. Zookeepers decorated her enclosure with birthday banners, made her a very special sloth birthday cake, and even presented her with a lovely sloth-themed card.
Flash was hand-reared by keepers after her mother sadly died giving birth. Head keeper Mark Kenwood and zookeeper Gemma Romanis, or Team Flash as they have been named, worked around the clock to care for the orphaned infant. The pair even took turns to take her home with them. Two-toed sloths are a nocturnal species, so require interaction and regular feeds during the night.
Gemma Romanis hand-made Flash's cake out of soaked leaf pellets which were mashed together to form the sponge. She then topped the cake with sweet potato icing and decorated it with sweet corn.
To complete her veggie creation, Gemma then added 2 carrot candles. Although this might not be a human's first choice for cake, the combination added up to an absolute slothy heaven.
Also at Drusillas Park, cotton-top tamarin Florencia was celebrating her first ever Mother's Day. Beautiful twin babies, Machu and Pichu, were born to loving parents, Florencia and Pasto, at the end of December last year, and are important as the species is critically endangered.
The cheeky little monkeys have always been popular animals at the award-winning zoo, and visitors have been excitedly spotting tiny Machu and Pichu clinging to their parents' back as they bounce around their enclosure.
Headkeeper Mark Kenwood said, "We are absolutely delighted to confirm that both mum and babies are making excellent progress. Florencia has done a brilliant job as a first-time mother. She's a total natural."
Sadly, not all babies have such an ideal start in life, and at the Cotswold Wildlife Park and Gardens, there was a huge challenge for keepers when Belle, a baby rhino's medical issues meant that she became the first hand-reared rhino calf in the park's history.
Although initially all seemed well with Mom Nancy and baby Belle, it soon became apparent there was an issue with her front right leg which required urgent veterinary attention. She was lively and attempting to suckle, but after x-rays and examinations, the veterinary team decided the leg needed a cast as it could not support Belle.
Belle had difficulty mastering walking in the cast, and it was feared that her erratic behaviour would have agitated the mother, putting her in an extremely dangerous and potentially fatal situation. Jamie Craig, the park's curator, explains, "To preserve the calf, an extremely important animal for the breeding programme, we had no alternative but to remove her from her mother for the week that the leg was in the cast.
Keepers managed to get Belle to drink from a bottle and stayed by her side 24/7, and after the cast was finally removed, a period of physiotherapy ensued. Now, her leg issues resolved, another hurdle was approaching, reintroducing Belle back to her mother and the rest of the rhino group.
Jamie Craig continues, "At this point it was vital we got her back into the rhino house so she could integrate again with her mum and the herd. She was moved to a pen next to the main house so she'd first experience all the smells and sounds of the adults, and was then introduced to other herd members with a barrier safely between them to avoid accidents."
Gradually, Belle began to interact with another adult female, Ruby, and her new male calf, Alan. But the happy day came when she and Mum Nancy could be physically reunited, and now they spend most of their day together, although Belle is still bottle-fed several times a day.
Belle's role as a member of the crash is important, and the white rhino is living proof of conservation success. They were once the rarest species of any rhino and were on the verge of extinction in the early 1900s, when it was believed only some 50 animals remained in their native South Africa. Thanks to excellent and sustained protection, they are now the most common of the 5 rhino species, although poaching in the last 5 years has once again escalated to serious levels. 3 of the 5 rhino species, the black, Javan and Sumatran, are critically endangered.
From a huge hand-reared baby to a tiny one, a pink-headed fruit dove at Newquay Zoo.
Hi, my name's Emma. I'm a bird keeper here at Newquay Zoo, and I'm going to show you our our now month-old pink-headed fruit dove chick. He hatched on the 30th of January. As you can see, he's now got all of his feathers. He's this beautiful green colour at first, and when he goes through his first molt, that's when he'll start to get the lovely pink head. I'm saying he, but we don't actually know whether it's a boy or a girl yet. We have to take a DNA sample, so we have to take a few feathers from it. Which we can do very shortly, and then we'll be able to know. We're just about to start feeding him on solids, but before that he's been being given a formula which we have to feed directly into his crop.
That young dove will be introduced to the Gems of the Jungle exhibit in the next few months, which seeks to highlight the illegal trade of Asian songbirds.
There's a new exhibit at West Midlands Safari Park. Ice Age is an immersive multi-sensory experience, allowing guests to step back in time and walk amongst the magnificent creatures that roamed the earth millions of years ago.
The captivating exhibit begins at the start of the Cenozoic era, nearly 65 million years ago, and features over 20 life-size species of mammals, the majority of which are animatronic, and also features an enormous rumbling volcano and huge atmospheric ice caves.
These moving, breathing and roaring creatures include a giant ground sloth, menacing hell pig and a herd of ginormous mammoth. The entrance is guarded by a ferocious smilodon, also known as a saber-toothed cat.
It sounds great, and hopefully we'll be visiting the park to see Ice Age and all the other animals.
Ooh, we're off on an OB, outside broadcast.
I know! You can see the details of all the stories covered at zoocast.co.uk.
And all our other social media channels.
And the best way to make sure you don't miss out is to subscribe. See you next time!